What's up, and welcome back to Interpreting Stars, where today I'm going to be talking about a brand new horror film from Open Road Pictures and Briarcliff Entertainment set to hit theaters tomorrow. It's Separation. Separation tells the story of a father and daughter who begin to experience strange things soon after his wife and her mother die in a tragic car accident. Is it the ghost of the mother returning to take the daughter away from him, or is it something much more sinister? As soon as I saw the trailer for this film, I knew that I had to see it. Something about the imagery of the film really garnered my attention, and for good reason. There's a lot of creepy things going on here, and it's all happening in plain view. Basically, Rupert Friend plays the father in this film, and he's essentially, he's a comic book writer that has to come up with some really creepy characters with twisted bodies and terrifying faces that look great in comic book format, but when they start coming to life, and they're just these giant spirits that haunt his family, it really does get to be pretty creepy at times. I'm a little bit spoiled because one of the creatures/ghosts that pop up from time to time is played by Troy James, who I first saw a few years back on America's Got Talent as a contortionist that was known to walk around kind of like a scary dog upside down or something. Now, I've seen him in other things as well, things like the Flash TV show. He was also in Anything for Jackson over on Shudder. He was also in Hellboy, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and a few other things as well. And, he's kind of typecast because he's always doing the same exact thing. But if you're good at something, why stop, right? So I say I'm spoiled because had I never seen him before, I probably would have been pretty impressed because what he does definitely belongs in horror. Anyways, going back to what I was saying, a big part of this movie comes right down to the visuals, since there's not only creepy imagery of these ghosts-like characters, but there's also a pretty big focus on light versus dark and how they utilize these things with the color red, for instance. It's all pretty well thought out. But when it comes down to the logic or the science behind the supernatural here, I don't know, I've begun to get a little bit lost. Throughout the runtime of the film, the characters were mostly trying to convince the audience that this was this guy's late wife haunting them, because shortly before she died, they were in a custody hearing trying to figure out who gets to keep the daughter. And when the mother dies, she supposedly haunts the family, continuously attempting to rip this father away from his daughter, which was what she was trying to do when she died. In theory, I get it, but in practice, I don't know. Plus, if it is the mother, why is she controlling this guy's puppets? How did she get the puppets to be so big? I'm no ghost expert, but I'm pretty sure that would take a lot more energy as a ghost than just, appearing like yourself. Not only that, but one ghost, I understand. But is she also creating the other ones as well, like the contortionist ghost? Is that also her? The movie doesn't really answer that, and because horror is just so utterly subjective, again, it's not going to be easy for me to just say if it's scary or not. I think the imagery is indeed creepy, but I wasn't scared because I feel as if the movie was trying so hard to physically show you these ghosts as much as humanly possible. Everybody can see them. They're almost always in the frame, and it's pretty much to the point of desensitizing. If you ever saw the Netflix show The Haunting of Hill House, you'll know what I mean by how they handled their ghostly revelations. There's always ghosts in that as well, even a ton that are sort of Easter eggs in the background, and they're all terrifying because they were never overused. They were timed excellently, and these ghosts in this movie are almost like side characters. They're in there so much. So what was initially really creepy in the beginning began to get somewhat old, and when they lost that element of surprise, they lost a ton of my engagement in the process. So let's go ahead and break down my final score for a second. From an unbiased technical level, I think pretty much everything from the visuals was pretty good. Some of the shots looked somewhat unfinished, but you can tell a majority of what works for this film is right there. The light, the dark, the color red, the design of these creatures, it's all very good. But if I was honest, that's really where it stopped being interesting. A lot of the writing fell flat for me because I didn't totally buy into the premise of a ghost sticking around to rip a family apart. And if they did, why they'd take the form of the father's art when the mother didn't really like that art in the first place. It just lost me there. This technical score is 62%. And as for my personal bias score, or how I felt about the movie in general, I think the film started out a lot stronger than it ended. It had a good setup. The designs, like I said, are pretty creepy, but when they overused some of these things, it lost a lot of my engagement, to the point where I was just waiting for it to end. This score is 54%, and when we average out the two scores together, we come to the final rating of 58%. 58 out of 100 possible stars, or a D letter grade. I definitely want to thank Open Road Pictures and Briarcliff Entertainment for sending me a screener to this film, and I do think it'll work for some people. But I was left wanting to see a little bit more. Guys, have you seen Separation? And if you have, let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with the next review. And until then, peace out.
Dave examines movies we just watch for fun. Davey is the expert. He is the #1 critic that I go to when I need a movie pick. Thanks for joining up with us.